One of the stories here that's important, though, is that calls are growing for the Senate to call witnesses in President Trump's impeachment trial because the New York Times finally did something decent, published the details about former National Security Advisor John Bolton's forthcoming book. In the book, he writes that Trump personally told him in August that he wanted to maintain a freeze on $391 million in security assistance to Ukraine until Ukraine turned over materials related to former Vice President Joe Biden and supporters of Hillary Clinton in the Ukraine. The Times broke the story on Sunday, one day after President Trump's legal team began its defense of the president. During Saturday's opening arguments, the White House Deputy Counsel Mike Purpura claimed that Democrats' case for impeachment is based on assumptions, and Trump's attorney, Pat Cipollone, another embarrassing paisan, accused the Democrats of attempting to overturn an election. They're just doubling down on those talking points. Trump's lawyers will continue their opening arguments Monday after the Democratic House impeachment managers wrapped up 3 days of opening arguments. Yeah, well, it's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. And also, Julian Castro was out saying that Gordon Sondheim's testimony is the nail in the coffin of Trump's defense. So that was before, but that all these different people have come out with the nail in the coffin of Trump's defense, and yet he's still out there defending himself. Anyway, Bolton, let me check what's happening. What are y'all talking about there? Hi, Lauren. Woo! Conservatives, Dr. R.B. says conservatives are so gullible or so craven they believe or sell the idea that Trump is conservative when he's not. He's reactionary, he's narcissistic, con man. So those voters are definitely gullible. Excuse my sarcasm. I wish Republicans would stop trying to overturn the 2018 elections. Ha! That's a good one. Excuse my sarcasm. Damn! You are funny stuff. You want to come write jokes for me? That's amazing. Toilet lurker Bolton is just angry he couldn't satisfy his war boner by giving guns to corrupt Ukrainians politicians to use against Russian allies. Correct. He could not satisfy his war boner. He is an incel for war boners, and so he's coming out with the truth in a book. Thankfully, it came out, 2 days before the impeachment. So anyway, so Boner's a Bolton. Sorry, I keep saying boner because now you made me say it. Ay. It's so funny that anyone can claim they're solid on a proven liar and not realize how gullible they are. Yeah, that is kind of funny. Well, anyway, so Bolton, anyway, trying to skim through here. Bolton's account fuels the Senate to push to call witnesses. Is this? At first glance, Bolton's account of President Trump's private remarks sounded like an echo of the smoking gun tape that Richard Nixon really had orchestrated the Watergate's cover-up and ultimately forced him from office. But by the end of Monday, the revelation seemed to appear to make it more likely that the Senate would agree to hear witnesses at the trial. Well, how about that? Can we hear some witnesses at a trial? Get rid of that fucking guy. Well, because the senators, if this thing is out in the New York Times and it's out in the major papers across the country, the senators have to worry about their own reelection. So once they start worrying about their own ass, they're going to have to come forward and say, well, we're going to have to call some witnesses in this trial, don't you think? And this is, I got to say, this is a good thing we have a media. Because without the media, this would never have gotten out. It's a good thing selling books still makes a little bit of money. The New York Times is reporting that hopes are dimming in the GOP, hope for a quick acquittal. The White House and the Senate Republican leaders struggled on Monday to salvage their plans for a quick acquittal of Trump after a new account by Bolton corroborated a central piece of his impeachment case against him. The newly disclosed revelations by Bolton, whose forthcoming book, it's funny how they're talking about the book in this column and then in a totally different story on this column. Is there no editor here? who just assumes we read both stories? Maybe not. A handful of Republicans appeared to be moving closer to joining Democrats in a vote to subpoena Bolton, even as their leaders insisted that doing so would only delay Trump's inevitable acquittal, which doesn't seem so inevitable anymore. I think it's increasingly likely that other Republicans will join those of us who think we should hear from Bolton, said Romney. I never loved him more. Oh boy. Where's Lauren's quote? I read a great quote the other day. It's easy to trick a fool. It's impossible to convince a fool he's been tricked. Oh, that is a good one, my friend. Oh gosh. Okay, so I guess more is to be revealed on this. Maybe they're going to have to call Bolton, and if they call Bolton, maybe they're going to have to call other people. But that's what's snowing. Excuse my sarcasm. One of Bolton's old underlings is trying to get Bolton to stop the publication of the book until after the 2020 election. That's pretty damning to me. They know it's going to look bad. Isn't that the truth? You know, let's conjecture. President Pence is an evangelical Christian who wants the end of the world. Bolton wants to wipe the Middle East off the map. The end of the world and Jesus's return is supposed to come after this happens. No? Am I wrong? And then, so maybe Bolton really wants Pence so he can move ahead with his war plans. Thoughts? I don't know. It's hard for me to think of John Warmonger Bolton, walrus mustache. I don't want to insult the walruses like that. Having like a pure motive to save democracy or really have a president that isn't completely insane. Your thoughts? Lauren says, Mr. Decrypting, I think it's a little ironic that a lot of people believe that Mark Twain said that when there was no evidence he did. It's literally a quote about tricking people. That is Dr. RB. Romney fucked up the lives of my friends and mine when he decided that you had to have residency in Massachusetts in order to marry there. I hate Romney. I hear you. Yep. Yes. Now, what if Romney puts on his cape and makes sure that President Trump gets impeached? Left is right, right is left. True, he's a cad. I loathe him too. I also loathe him for, being the Richard Gere character in Pretty Woman. Just, his whole way of making money is destroying things for people and vulturing off other people's actual work. But if he stops the impeachment, I'm good. I'm cool. Cool with that. We've had a lot of what do you call it, like dark heroes on TV these days? Meaning, what do you call those dark characters who are the heroes on TV shows? So maybe Romney will be a dark character who saves our democracy. Who knows? He needs some other people like the Susan Collins who's like, I'll do it. I won't. I care about this thing. I want to seem reasonable. I'm going to vote in lockstep. Anti-hero. Thank you, Ritalin. I need some Ritalin in order to jumpstart this morning mind. Lauren, I've been wanting to pick a book about the fall of the Roman Empire. I've read an article on the similarities of the American reality today and the struggles they went through. I think it would be illuminating. Yes. Why don't you write a book about it? Just do the research, get it out there. We'll plug it on our stream and we can sell it to all 28 people who are watching right now. Maybe. Dr. RB, Romney will have made only a small faith effort at doing the right thing by impeaching Trump. Romney is a garbage human. He must do a lot more than that to atone for his sins. I agree, but if he could just start with this one thing. Lou Dobbs spent last night calling Bolton a Democratic stooge. That guy with the war boner, a stooge of the left. Now, how unhinged it's getting. Yes. Yes. It's very difficult to stay hinged. Mr. Decrypting, aren't both sides in the U.S. pretty much more warmongers, though? Sell me things in this economy. Yeah, they are. So we need Bernie. What can I tell you? Exactly, Dr. RB. First steps are good. They're not adequate. I don't need him to like be a hero in my mind. I don't care if he just does this one good thing and then I can still hate him for the other things that he's done. I'm just going to stop thinking of people as someone I either like or hate. I like what you did over here. I don't like what you did over there. That seems more sane, right? In general. Because me hating a person is me having resentment, drinking poison, and hoping the other person dies while I'm the one with the poison in my system. Lauren, you're the 10th person this week who's told me to write a book. I think the universe is trying to tell you something. Yes, that is correct, Lauren. Get your pen or your whatever and hurry up before everything burns down. Fixie, Minister Decrypting, the old Dems are sure, but the new Dems who are coming into power are not warmongers. Exactly. Thank you. Good point.